All right, we're going to do a recording of this session. So for those of you who do not want to be in the recorded session, you may turn off your camera. We'll just wait for another 2 more minutes before we kick off with the session tonight.
I see some of my Myanmar Rotarian friends also here. Good to see you.
Yes, we have a lot.
I see Rotarian Thuzo and Methulang and some other names. I think. Yeah.
Great.
Good.
Great to have all of you, Myanmar, to be here with us.
Thank you.
From Yangon.
Yes.
Thank you.
Hi, Nina. This is JP. Nina, hi. Hi, Nina.
Hi, JP.
Do we have David here from Uganda? I saw David coming in just now.
Hi, Nina. This is Nijat.
Light bulb doing at the back of your screen.
Sorry, somebody has just mentioned something.
Yeah, I'm asking you about the light bulbs.
We'll tell you later on.
Especially the white one so near to you.
Ernest Chua, how are you? PDG.
Hello, good evening.
Hi, Ernest. How are you, Ernest?
Hello, well, nice to see so many good friends tonight.
Yeah, long time no
Welcome.
see, Ernest. Yeah.
Yes.
Welcome.
How are you?
Ernest
Good,
Chua,
good.
he is the incoming public image coordinator.
Yes, he
For
trained
zone-
us during the DGE training.
Yeah.
Thank you for
Great
coming
seeing
in.
you again, Datuk. And thank you, Nina, for adding me up in the Facebook group. Thank you.
Yeah, hi Ernesto. Nice to see put your face on the name.
The smiling face of Ernesto.
Hi there, Dolly. Good evening, Dolly.
Hi, good evening. How are you?
Good, good.
That's good.
Okay, we will start off now. It's 8 p.m. Tech host, could you please help me to launch the PowerPoint and get everybody muted? All right, very good evening to everybody who are here today, and glad that all of you, the fact that all of you are able to be here this evening, it means that we are all doing fine. And during this pandemic, being fine and being able to join this virtual session is a treasure that we will value very much during this difficult time. Now, tonight, it's really very special because we have representatives from 28 districts, from Uganda, from Sri Lanka, that covers Maldives. We have from Bahrain, Taiwan, from Philippines, Thailand, Australia, and many other places, obviously apart from these Southeast Asian countries. So I really appreciate the fact that you are making an effort to be here with us tonight and to listen on this particular topic about brand revitalization. Now, what I would like to do is I would like to share with you just the administrative program before we start. Let me just go through the virtual meeting ethics, and I think you probably are already familiar with this. I'm just trying to reverse the slide. Zoom tech host, can you please help me to reverse the slide? Anyway, it's okay. The sessions is being recorded. So for those of you who have concern about being in the recording, you may turn off your camera. And for those of you who are actually not having the virtual background, please just type into the chat box and get the Zoom technical support to send through the Zoom chat box the copy of the virtual background so that you can install it. But you don't have to do it if you do not know how to do it, right? So it's up to you. And I just want to mention that later on, right, there will be a session for Q&A after the speaker actually completed his presentation. And during the Q&A, you can unmute yourself and ask questions. Now, I would prefer that you, if you can, use the raise hand button under the reaction icon below your Zoom chat box. The reason is because by doing that, it will be easier for the speaker to be able to identify you and put you in a queue. Now, another option is if you have questions, you may also type it on the Zoom chat box. And then we will see whether we can have this Zoom chat being the media to convey the questions to the speaker. And at that point in time, I may need the assistance of the Zoom tech support to help me read some of the questions just in case I miss some of the questions in the process. Now, I would also like to inform you that at the very beginning of the speaker's slide, there'll be a section where everybody will be broken up into small group discussions, whereby each one of you will be automatically transferred to a breakout room for about 7 minutes. Each room will have about 10 to 15 participants. And at the end of the 6 minutes, you will receive an alert to warn you or to alert you that you have only 1 minute left before the system will bring you back into the main room. Where we are right now, this is the main room. The speaker will inform you later on what you need to do in that small group discussion before he carried out with his presentations. Now, let me start off by, Zoom chat. There's a technical error here. Kenneth, can you help me to launch the slide again? All right. So now go back. All right. So at the end of this breakout room, after 7 minutes, everybody will be brought back into the main room and we will continue with the discussions. Now, before I proceed in introducing the speaker, I would like to give this opportunity by inviting our district governor for District 3310, Dolly Yip. She is the first woman governor for our District 3310 that covers Brunei, Singapore, and part of Malaysia. Can I invite District Governor Dolly Yip to deliver an opening speech?
Thank you, PDG Andre. Mr. Kausern, our learned speaker for tonight, zone officers, past district governors, incoming governors, district officers, distinguished guests from far and near, my fellow Rotarians, good evening to all of you. I'm very glad to see all of you. Thank you for making time to be with us this evening. Let me thank past District Governor Andre for organizing this session and for his kind invitation to me to do the opening remarks. When I see the word brand, straight away, 2 words came into my mind: style and status. The image we create for ourselves reflects a perception for others to view us, which sometimes could be misleading or untrue. Interestingly, our Rotary image or brand has its foundation by saying that I meant the impression of those who knew Rotary. We are known as an organization of rich people doing many good things for the communities. I also remember Rotary is a men's club who met every week in expensive hotels or restaurants. Many might remember Rotary International spent millions of dollars uplifting our image. Rotary embarks on a massive branding exercise, setting up of public image committee and appointments of Rotary leaders at the international level, zone level, and even at club levels, and at the to spearhead the Rotary Public Image Initiative. We have zone leader like PDG Andre Sohato, which is representing for zone 10B and 10C. And I'm very glad this evening to see many of his colleagues are here from different zones. Thank you very much. Despite the much success achieved by Rotary in its branding exercise, branding is, however, a continuous work in progress. We need to rebrand, to revitalize, to keep pace with this fast-changing environment. With that in mind, is that why we need a brand revitalization? What does it actually mean to us? I look forward to understand why Rotary International did a brand revitalization for that lasting change in the eye of the public. I'm glad that the past District Governor Andre has organized this talk and invite a prominent speaker with excellent credentials to share with us his experiences in branding with revitalization. So on behalf of Rotary Internet, on behalf of our district, I wish to thank Mr. Kausern for your sharing and spending your time with us. I wish all of you a meaningful and enjoyable evening. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Please join me to give our District Governor 3310 a warm applause. Thank you very much. Your presence being with us this evening. Now, you know, tonight, apart from having Rotarians in this session, we also have a lot of non-Rotarians who are friends of Rotarians being in this session and having to get to listen to the speaker and get to know what Rotary is all about. Now, we are very fortunate tonight to have Mr. Kausern Hieu to be with us to spend this evening to talk about brand revitalization, how to create lasting change through social media. It sounds just like our vision statement, create lasting change globally, in our communities, and in ourselves. So please allow me to have the distinct honor to introduce Mr. Kausern Hieu. He wants to live in a world where the next generation are affirmed by the older generation, to go on a journey of self-discovery and be all they were created to be. He is currently the country manager of Nuffnang, Malaysia, Asia's leading influencer and content marketing company. He has more than 15 years of sales, digital marketing experience, and also hands-on expertise in leading and managing people across different levels within such organization type like NGOs, media, startup, media advertising agency. As an outcome-driven person, what gives him joy is seeing someone change for the better. And that's the reason why I suppose he is here with us, because we are actually trying to make the world a better place to live. And as a certified corporate coach, he excels in equipping people with purpose and goal-oriented skills so that they can perform at their best. And when they perform, the business and organization they are in transforms. With that, Rotarians, Rotary leaders, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, please join me to welcome Mr. Kausern Hieu, Country Manager of Nuffnang, Malaysia.
Hello, everyone. Let me start to share screen right now. All right, can you see my screen? Great.
That's good.
Okay, so let me do this little trick which I learned. Ooh, looks nice. Okay. All right. So first of all, thank you, DigiDolly, as well as Andre, for inviting me to speak. Really, thank you for having me tonight, all of you. I know some of you are from different time zones. I really appreciate your time to be here. So when Andre approached me about close to a month and a half ago, and we talked about this, and he said, hey, you know, exactly what DigiDolly has mentioned, and said about the brand perception. So what I did was I kind of did some deep stick research and asked around people which I know the brand perception of Rotary, right? And I was actually pretty hesitant to share this, not to offend everyone here, but because DigiDolly has actually mentioned it, so it gives me the courage to say it as well, that the finding that I have from different people, these are some of the keywords: rich and old man's club, then also where they try to solve the world's problem over expensive meals. So these are some of the keywords. I thought, okay, maybe just one or two, but when I kind of ask around as well on text and so on, and it's pretty consistent, that image, right? So I think what DigiDolly has mentioned just now, that this is perception, right? Because however, perception is reality for some people, right? And when I did my own research, I found out there's so much more to Rotary than I actually thought it is, right? So for example, I know that Rotary International is the initiator of the eradication of polio disease worldwide before actually UNICEF took the lead, right? And I also understand that you're different from any other NGOs because you're backed by Rotary International with a matching grant, right? And it's also tracked with this thing called a Charity Navigator, a 4-star rating platform. So I thought that was pretty interesting. That how come there is actually a gap with how people actually relate to Rotary with the awesome things that you're currently doing right now. So what can we do to revitalize and change people's perception of Rotary? Now, before I start, I thought I would like to share something with you, and a little bit of an intimate story. When I was preparing this, I was figuring like, how do I start off with something which is relatable? And I was pretty hesitant to share this, but I thought, hey, you know what? The keyword these days is vulnerability. So I'm going to share this. Is the first time I'm sharing this story to a group of 100 plus people. At this point in time, it's about 143 participants here. And it's actually a story, a journey about my own self, right? And in 2012, that was like almost close to 10 years ago, this is how I look like, right? And I was probably at my heaviest at 107 kilograms, right? So I've always been pretty pudgy, right? I have always been trying to lose weight and trying all sorts of things, right? And it just doesn't work. So this picture here is 2012 at 107 kilograms. So what really frustrated me was that every time, and I'll get sick quite easily as well, right? So every time I get sick, like fever and so on, when I see the doctor will usually, first thing they'll do is they'll look at me, they'll scan me up and down, and they have this disapproving face, this judgy face, and say, what happened to you? That's what they usually say, what happened to you, right? So I feel really embarrassed, right, every time when I see a doctor. On top of that, when I go for, let's say, to buy a t-shirt or a shirt, any of the shops like Uniqlo or H&M and whatever, right? Most of the time when I go in there, when I see a particular design which I like, the salesperson will come up to me and say, sir, this area here don't have your size. Please move on to the XXL or XXL size and so on, right? And I get really embarrassed, and they will tell me upfront to say, hey, you know, this thing that you like, I'm sorry, you don't have it, right? You have it on the other side. And most of the time, the larger size, the designs are not that great, right? And that kind of like pushed me over the edge and motivated me and gave me the passion to say, you know what, I really need to do something about this. So what I did was that I took, I committed to a program, I committed to a framework, I committed to a system, right? And this system consists of a personal trainer. It consists of me needing to track what I eat every day on a tracker. It consists of me exercising daily, whether is it raining or shine, I still need to do it. And all sorts, right? So these are the things I need to do. I need to do it every day religiously. And what happens is that I've got this personal trainer who will keep on checking on me, being accountable on this process, on this system, which I did. And 6 months later, in 2012, and moving in 2013, actually, I lost about 14 kilos. And this picture here was taken in early 2013, and I was about 93 kilograms. So the benefit of it is that I really feel good that now I can go to any sort of stores, shops, or t-shirt shops, which I can just go in, I can pick any clothes from the shelf and I can wear it. Just like this one here. I got it from this batik, I got it from Uniqlo. I just went in and just kind of pick and wear it. But I still had the phobia even after 10 years plus. I still had the phobia of like, what if it doesn't fit me? That kind of thing, right? Now, there is a moral to all this story. I have been consistent as well in this process, in this system. And at the age of 40 years old, which was 5 years ago, right? I ran my first marathon and my first full marathon. Yeah, so I'm not, what was a terrible idea, but yes, but I did it as well. And I really feel good about it. And after almost 10 years, I still follow this system of, I don't have a personal trainer anymore, but at least I know how to do it as close as possible. This follow system of tracking what I eat, measuring every day, you know, rain or shine, still do some cardios and all, right? And this is how I look like today. This is me, right? I think it's probably my most recent photo, and I still able to maintain, or in fact, I actually kind of lost another 10 more kilos. So what I'm trying to say here is that at the end of the day, there is actually a process or a system that you follow, similar with how do you revitalize a brand as well. It's really a lot about the consistency, about believing in the process and following through again and again and again and again, and you will see the results. Did I see the results in the beginning when I tried this program? No. It's like when am I gonna lose weight? When am I gonna lose weight, right? But I trusted the system, I trusted the process, and I continue to move on and continue to do it. And today, this is what I really want to share with you, not about my weight loss program, obviously, but the learning outcome is to provide you with this system, a framework to start going through again and again for you so that you can start creating a purposeful and sustainable presence on social media, right? And over time, just like how I did, over time, you will start to see the perception of the public shift from what I mentioned just now to really who you are. So I hope to be able to share. Usually this particular program, I mean, whatever I'm talking about, like takes maybe like 5 days or even more, but I'm trying to compact everything as much as I can over the next hour, right? So with that, I thought I wanted to just kick off by asking all of you this question, right? Which is, the digital and social media is a new battleground to win hearts and minds. So we talk about social media, we talk about digital, right? It's a new battleground to win hearts and minds. My question to you, as you go into your breakout room for 7 minutes, is to discuss among yourself, what do you understand by this statement of social media is the new battleground to win hearts and minds? Can you give examples to support this statement? Let me give you first, to kick off first, some examples, right? So these days, if you decide to, for example, to purchase a car, right? Compared to those days before, you have to walk into the showroom, look at it, test drive it, and so on. Then you move on to the next showroom, and then you try to. These days, everything is done online. You do all your research online, and the only time when you go into the shop is to do a test drive because you already have decided to buy that car, maybe about 85%. The moment you test drive it, most of the time it's like, yeah, this is the one. Do you have it in black or do you have it in red? That's about it. But most of the work already has been done online. This thing is what I call the zero moment of truth, as opposed to the first moment of truth. First moment of truth is this term which was coined by probably P&G years ago, which represents the retail part of things, which means when you walk into a shop in the retail, that is the first moment of truth. The moment if you manage to capture the attention of your consumers with the packaging and so on, that's the first moment of truth. That's how they coin it. But however, digital and the social media space has become the zero moment of truth, which means everything, all the decisions of a brand already has been made online, because people these days, even yourself, you talk about it. If you want to go and visit a new place, if you want to visit a new country or whatever, right? First thing you do is you Google about it. If you want to buy something, you look at recommendations. Okay, so this is where I want to get you to dig deeper into this statement. What do you understand by this statement, and perhaps give some examples to support this statement in your own breakout room. So once you come back again, I will probably just pick one or two, or maybe depending on time, just to quickly just share what are your thoughts on this. There's no wrong, there's no right answers, but I thought it's going to be interesting exercise to kind of like set in the foundation for the framework that I'm just going to talk about. So if you don't mind, Andre, on your side, can you please help me to break up the room?
Sure.
Thank you.
Some of you may want to take a snapshot of this image so that you'll remember what the question is all about before we transfer you to the breakout room. I'll just give you a few seconds to do that. All right. William.
Yes, sir.
Zoom tech support, get ready to do and transfer everybody to their own respective breakout room.
Yes, sir.
You can do that now. Thank you.
To all participants, you will now be transferred to your respective room. If some of you are not transferred, please don't be alarmed. We'll transfer you immediately. Thank you.
Don't worry if you do not know anybody. Just start the conversations. We are here to exchange ideas, and we will see you back in 7 minutes.
Had a good discussion. I hope we had a good discussion, everyone. Okay, great. Now, anyone here would like to just unmute yourself and kind of just share some of the insights that you have? For those who do not want to share, do not want to unmute, that's fine. You can also put on the chat box as well, so everyone can learn from it as well. But I thought I would like to hear from maybe one or two. What are some of the things that you actually got from this statement? Anybody? Okay, I see someone raise hands. How do I do this? Right.
Can I proceed?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, in my group, they have a very interesting, first, they're looking at this, the battleground wins on heart and mind. Some of it is on a personal basis. Like it says that they can't run away from this digital, because so much so like buying of things, like you said earlier, Another one, as I said, with the digital method, never in our mind now, we are getting connected. Like Rotary in the years here, Rotary connects the world. Through this, we get ourselves connected. That's how we some of things. And the other statement was that one of my participants says that is also social media is a reflection on her or his personal integrity. Like he's going to do business with this social media, he's going to do business. People look at it as integrity. How's the integrity accounting? And of course, from my Bangkok counterpart from Dylan, he says it is a way for them if they can't run away, like what you just shared earlier, the products and everything they have to go. That's actually from my group, and of course there's some who actually the social media is actually in their business life. They can't run away from it. They are doing business. Their operation is being done through this. So it's definitely a new battleground. Not only win the heart and mind of the customer, also in our personal life. Thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing. Thank you so much. I see some hands raises from Denise, right? Sorry to pronounce your Denise. Could you unmute yourself?
Yes. Good evening, everyone. So I'm Denise Delagete from District 3810. So from our sharing, digital and social media is the new battleground. It means that a lot of people are already online, considering our situation right now that we can go outside. So everyone is in the social media. So one of my co-members shared that as Rotarians, we can inject this idea by posting photos of people of action, meaning we show the people the good that we do in the world so that they will be encouraged to join Rotary. And then at the same time, it's very important that we create the perspective to them that we are approachable, and at the same time, they can join us so then they can reach more people to help. That's all.
Thank you very much for your sharing. You really stole some of the slides, which I'm going to be sharing later as well. Thank you. That's great. Who else would like to share? One more. Anybody? Hey, Bona Abdul Manap, would you want to unmute yourself?
Yeah, hi. I'm not gonna have my video on if you don't mind. Yeah, so we discussed today that apart from, on social media, you can actually have a lot of media, and in fact you have videos, you can have it written, you can have it voice. So in that way you actually touch people on different levels. But we also discuss how it could also be dangerous. It's not just a matter of putting things up. You also must be very responsive. You must also be aware of some cyber crime, or if you post pictures of yourself at your house, for example, people might know where you live and then you might want to go and rob you and stuff. So there are two sides of the story. It's not just putting things there and leaving it there. You should also be responsive and actually know how to use social media, and so you should also learn how to use it wisely. Yeah, that's it. Thanks.
Thank you for that perspective. I like that. I think there's two more who raised hand. We just can take these two last one. Let me see how I do this. Sham. Sorry, Shai. Sorry to butcher your name. So sorry
I'm Shabasri.
Hi.
And I've unmuted myself. Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes, perfect.
Yeah. So the group that I went to, obviously, I being from India, I was a little different from everybody else. I enjoyed that and I learned a lot. And there was a lady from Philippines who said that they are using the digital media to promote environment on which they're working, so that people get to know that Rotarians work on the environment now. And I found that very interesting. That was one thing. And basically, of course, the same topics were discussed as far as using the social media with its different formats, whether it be Facebook or Twitter or whichever thing that they use. But there was an elderly person who said that I am not very comfortable with it, but he said that they have a lot of people who've joined the club who are young and who are doing a great job of using the digital media to make their projects and all the community service work that they do come out in the open for people to know. And the basic idea for all of us Rotarians is not to show off about what we do. The idea is to spread the word that we are people of action. Come join us. So give us a better, branding that way. So I found it very, very interesting, and very, the group was so nice, and I'm so new and so not known to them, but I really enjoyed myself. These 7 minutes I'll remember forever. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Okay, we have got one more who raised their hand. Nagyoti, is that how I pronounce the name? May you unmute yourself?
I think all the points already covered. I just want to put here that why I am in this group today, because of the social media. I from India, I'm attending this meeting, Singapore meeting. It means that social media helps a lot. If you use it in a right way, then distance doesn't matter at all. So you can expose, there is a lot of exposure you can get, and you can make a very good use of the resources, as well as the age difference doesn't matter here. Even though after retirement also you can have a, we can make use of the best to our expertise. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you so much for your sharing. What is really important is hang on to some of these thoughts that has been shared by your fellow Rotarians, as well as also within your own group itself. You may have a lot of questions, for example, which was already brought up. For example, what do I post? I'm too old for this, and all these questions that you may have, right? I will be systematically addressing some of this along the way. All right. So I will start moving on to my slides. Here we go. Let's see. Okay. So this is a framework which I'm going to be talking about, which I was saying, continue to just believe in this process, keep doing these 4 things again and again and again, you will see the results. And I'll cover the first one, which is, I call it, just label it as chapter 1, passion, right? So the first thing I'll talk about is this, what really passion is. According to Simon Sinek, people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. That essentially is a very apt summary of what passion is really all about, your why. Why are you doing this, right? So I thought I want to share with you a particular case study which I brought up, which I came across. I thought really explains the why, like why is this person doing what she is doing? And this person, let me tell you a story, is Hong Yi, which is actually a Malaysian artist, right? I'm not too sure whether these slides will be shared across. I will be sharing these slides later on. There are links, you can click on it, you can read more about her. So who is Red Hong Yi, or we call her Red? So Red, for those who are from Sabah, raise your hands. Hey, so Red is from Sabah, right? From KK. She got her Master's of Architecture in 2010, which is not long ago, in Australia. And then she moved to Shanghai to actually work for an Australian architecture firm. And during the time of her working in architecture firm, she dabbled into the whole area of art, right? Which I'm going to show you a video. And she became a full-time artist in January 2013, 3 years later, right? So one of the most prominent work that she has done is actually for the Time magazine back in April this year, called Climate is Everything. What she did was she actually created 50,000 green tip matches, put it all up, real size matches, and then after that kind of like lit it up just to show the global climate crisis impact using art. And last month itself, in July, Red actually sold her Doge to the Moon non-NFT, right? For those who understand what NFT is, at 36.3 Ethereum, which is currently valued at probably about 325,000 ringgit. And parts of this actually go to proceed. So she has actually come a long way. Come a long way in a very short time. And who is this person? I'm going to show you this video. Try to catch what is her passion. She doesn't really kind of like explicitly say it, but try to catch her passion and why is she doing what she is doing. Okay, so I'm going to show you this video.
When I was living in Shanghai, I got a lot of inspiration from just things around me because I was put in an unfamiliar environment. Things like people hanging laundry off a bamboo pole, and I've never seen things like that. Little things like that made me want to turn something ordinary, something everyday and mundane, into something a little bit different, to challenge the viewers to see their surroundings a little bit differently. I got into art, I think, the second year of being in my architecture firm. So while I worked on all these architecture projects and I was in front of the computer all the time, I really wanted to work on tangible projects. I wanted to build smaller scale projects. So I was doing all these projects on the side while I was keeping a full-time 9-to-5 day job at my architecture firm, and there was no plans of switching to an art career. I think in my mind I always thought, you know, it's not practical, it's not sustainable, I can't do this. But at the same time, I noticed that I started to get requests from clients, from brands all over the world whenever I released a video, and I had no idea how to quote them. Drinking coffee, I love that. And I noticed rings formed on the bottom whenever I dripped a little bit on the side. And it was a bit of a nuisance to me at first, but then I thought, if I turn, I guess, my mind around and think about it differently, can it be presented in an interesting way instead of something that really bothered me? The chopsticks idea came about when Jackie Chan commissioned an artwork and he wanted a portrait of himself, and I was in Beijing at that moment, and we talked about one of his movies. It's Drunken Master, and there's a scene where he fights with chopsticks. So that's where it came about, and I started experimenting with it bit by bit and built it into a bigger image of him. The tea bag piece was commissioned for Malaysian night at the World Economic Forum. So that was a huge honor, and I really wanted to make something that spoke about the Malaysian culture, and I thought a teh tarik man would be interesting. I got about 20,000 tea bags and dyed them in different shades of the tea color that I was using and turned it into a teh tarik person.
Great. Welcome all back. I thought you guys probably travel. I see some faces, you're smiling. Passion is such an attractive thing, isn't it? Passion, it's in fact the one thing that probably differentiates everything, especially when times are bad and so on. Passion will pull you through. So like in this case, right, for her, really, the video kind of just showed what she did. And I want, like I said, I want to find out what was her why, what was driving her, right? And it wasn't explicitly stated, but I saw this article, and she said that her why, her motivation, her passion, right? What drives her is this, right? She is actually a little bit of an activist in her. She used art to be able to voice out certain things which concerns her at this point of time, right? Especially right now, she said that heritage is something that she would like to really talk about, especially during this season. So that is her why, that drives her, so much so that when she started to post something on video, which she said, right, and started to get a lot of attention from there. And from then onwards, kind of like she didn't turn back anymore, and she went full-time in doing her art. And in just a very short time, she is where she is today. Again, there are some links which I'll be sharing with you throughout. Then you can actually check her work a little bit more. So and this particular art piece which she has, she's actually made out of seeds, right? It's called Hope for Malaysia by Rick Hong Ye, this piece here. So question to all of you as Rotarians, what is your passion? What's the reason for you for getting up every morning and do what you do, regardless, right? Whether is it rain or shine, that you will push through, regardless of age, regardless of anything, right? But you still push it. What is your passion? I thought I want to hear from you. Maybe in your chat box, you can actually kind of like type out some of this. What is your passion? You can put it in. And yeah, I'm seeing some coming up. Helping people to be happy and live well. Thank you. What else? What drives you? Service to humanity. Thank you. Wow, it's coming a lot. But I think, okay, I can't finish reading, but it's great. Hope to see more smiles, people, changing life of people, desire the good to help others. Serve the lost, do the best for all, real happiness, looking forward to a happy and healthy life. Yes. Making meaningful change, giving back, doing good, smiling face. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. All right. You can do it right. Thanks. Thank you so much. So you joined the Rotary Club for a particular reason, right? To do something which you always want to do, right? And just like how Red is, for her, she did art because at the end of the day, she wanted to be able to provoke, to be able to use art to get people to think. I think it was Banksy, one of our so-called the well-known artists today, right? Which said this: art should comfort the disturbed and disturb the comfortable. I thought that's quite interesting. That's what she did. So my thoughts, why this is important, why passion is important, is this, right? Hang on, let me move on my slide. Because passion is like fuel. Especially when times are bad or your margins are not good or whatever, right? But yet, if you continue to do it, it's a very attractive energy. It will accelerate you ahead of the pack. And you will stand out in a crowded space. So moreover, it will also keep you going, especially during difficult times, as I was mentioning, right? Because being on social media, putting up like post after post after post, sometimes can be a little bit daunting, because sometimes it can be like, oh, what am I doing this? Similar like for my weight loss thing, again, it's like, how can I eat this thing? Why I needed to exercise every day? Why? But over time, right, when you start to see the results, it is actually a very gratifying thing. You may be asking, some of you, it's like, but what do I do, right? As in like I just can't be posting stuff, right? So one of the ideas is actually to go niche, to go deep into one particular area. So like, for example, let's say if you are in a particular area, you're serving a particular community, you can just focus on that community and just talk about it. You don't have to talk about all the stuff. For example, if you're serving a community of single mothers or single parent, you can also use that as just one of the topics, and you just go niche and go deep, right, in your own different districts. So it doesn't have to be covering everything, but you can actually go niche, and because you're just very passionate about serving this particular community, right? So this is one thought about passion. And moving on, which is the second thing I want to talk about in building this framework. Once you have decided what is your passion, why are you doing what you're doing, now is to start building the community. So before I jump into the building community bit, why is a community important? Just want you to watch this short video which I got from TikTok.
Okay, dude, would you rather have $30 million or 30 million loyal friends? Easy, 30 million loyal friends. Why? I just ask each of them to give me $5 and they're loyal, so they'll give it to me. Then I'll have 150 million at that point. Oh. Then I'd run for president. Boom, 30 million votes already. Good point. Then I would start a business like a chocolate factory or something, because I already have 30 million customers. You've really thought about this, haven't you? Then sell the chocolate at $1 each and ask my loyal friends to buy one piece of chocolate every day. That's $30 million a day. Oh my God.
Right. So many platforms out there. Where do you start building your community? Right? There's Twitter, there's Facebook, there's LinkedIn, there's Instagram, there's TikTok, there's WhatsApp, there's so many things, right? There's YouTube. Like which social media platform should I start using to build my community? This is probably one of the questions that you may have, right? So let me give you a little bit of just some stats, right? Which will confuse you even more. For example, right, this is the Malaysia stats pegged against like 28 million people, which is on the internet. Look at all these stats here. How many people are on these platforms? YouTube, WhatsApp, Facebook, Instagram. Like there's so many to choose from. Where do you even start, right? There are two schools of thoughts on where do you start. The first one is be everywhere, right? Now, being everywhere here literally means with this strategy, you build your brand with a wider group of audience across multiple platforms, which means, okay, let's go big, let's go Twitter, let's go everywhere, right? So the benefit of this is that you actually reach a wider audience. Not only that, for those of your community which is on different platforms, you actually hit them multiple times. So that is one strategy. However, this strategy is very labor and resource intensive. Now, if you have a social media team and the budget, great, and encourage you to do this, right? But if you're a small team, volunteers, for example, I would recommend you to go for the second one, which is focus on one platform, right? Because of the limited resources and the time that you have, it can be very difficult to actually have a fruitful presence if you're going to be everywhere across different networks. So if you have a small team, like I said, I recommend this strategy, which is to pick one network and focus on it exclusively, right? I would probably recommend you to actually look into this for the Rotary, because I do know that all of us are volunteers, right? So to a certain extent, we do also have full-time jobs and so on. So it's best to actually start off by just looking at one platform. Along the way, as you grow, you may want to expand to different platforms, right? There's little nuances. So some of you may be asking, oh, if I post this thing, can I just repeat it on different platforms? Sure. But however, you may not get the best of that platform. For example, right? So let's say Twitter is a short form full of words, right? Very little image you can put in, versus, for example, like TikTok, which is a video-based app. On YouTube, which is very video, right? So what do you have? So what would you want to put on? Really depends on it. So I would say start small first, and then you go deep into it. Then if you decide to actually expand to different platforms, then you can actually go into it. Now, how do you start building your community once you've decided what platform? Okay, why I put 0 here is instead of 1, because it is the most important thing before you start anything, is you need to have form a task force who says, okay, let's do this social media thing. I want to be part of it, right? So you need to get volunteers within your own district, within your own team to say, I want to do this. I want to be part of this, regardless of your age, regardless of whatever. Even you have no so-called experience whatsoever, that's fine as long as you got passion, right? I want to learn this. I want to do this, right? Just now, I think Andre was sharing that his team is actually exporting a group of people who's expert in Zoom to help out the other districts across the world. And I'm sure they are not, I mean, they didn't graduate from the school of Zoom, right? But they were passionate to learn about it. And then from there, they're actually now starting to help the others, right? So similar, you start to form a task team first. That's the beginning part. You don't have a team to run it. You want to run it on yourself. it's going to be a bit difficult. Get at least 2 or 3 people to run alongside with you so you can learn together. Second thing is, okay, not second. Now, number 1, when you start off with the end in mind. Be clear of your purpose of why you're starting this account on this platform. What's the reason? Is it to educate? Is it to recruit? Is it to tell people what you're doing? Is it to just, what is the reason that you're actually starting this? A good benchmark for any sort of channel to start is this question you ask yourself, like, who can I add value to? That's the most important. It's not like, here, look at me, this is what I do, this is what I do. Just like any other things, over time, all the selfies and all the me thing will not fly. At the end of the day, right, it's really about what community you're serving, and it will actually show that you actually are people action of doing it. So we'll move on to the second point, is actually know where are your audience, where do they reside. So there's enough internet research out there in your own countries to find out, for example, if I am targeting this group of people with these demographics, most of them, where are they, for example? Let me give you an example. For example, professionals, they are mainly on LinkedIn, right? If you're targeting really young people, they are on TikTok. If you're talking like general masses and so on, they're probably on YouTube, right? So you need to be able to figure out where your audience are, and you start building it from there. In fact, you may not even necessarily need to have it on your Twitters or whatever. You can even have it on the Facebook group. You can even have it, in fact, on a WhatsApp group if you want it, as long as you choose a platform and you start to build that, right? So know where are your audience, who do you want to target. And the third thing is understand the strengths and limitations of each of the platform, like I mentioned. Like I said, TikTok mainly for teens, LinkedIn are primarily professionals. TikTok, for example, is a 3-minute video-based network, while Facebook groups, for example, support text, pictures, and videos. So do your own research. And all these things are freely available on the internet, right? I don't have time to run through each and every one on this platform, but you must do a research to say, okay, what kind of bandwidth can I do videos? Because videos are very labor intensive, right? So if you don't have the time and so on, maybe it's all about text, about just pictures and so on, then choose a different kind of platform like Facebook group. And also ask yourself, where are your audience? Are they there? So no point of having a nice, throw a big party, but no one comes to your house, right? So no point. So you need to know where are your audience as well, right? And then thereafter, you set goals and you track, and then you reiterate or recalibrate, right? So for example, so that you know that, for example, like let's say by end of this year, if I'm going to be on LinkedIn, right, I want to be able to grow this number of audience, this number of community, a number of followers. You need to be able to track all these things and kind of ask yourself, like, okay, I did this thing, there seems to be attracting more people who join. When I did this thing, not much engagement. You start to learn because you have a goal. So rather than just throwing out the content out there, you actually really take time to figure out, because you have a goal. You need to be able to say, I need to be able to grow this number of people. So you start to be mindful of the things that you put out, and you start to track. And if things are not working, you change your strategy again, and change strategy and just recalibrate again. And then you will start to see some kind of results. Just like how my weight loss is. My at that point in time, my personal trainer didn't just like, here, just do this program. But as I do, he will just come back and track again and says, okay, this week don't seem to be losing as much weight. We need to tweak this a little bit and tweak that a little bit. Why? But if you don't have a goal, then you don't know what you're tweaking for. So you need to be able to set those goals and track and recalibrate. And lastly, you need to be able to set aside some budget, not much actually, just some budget for paid ads. For example, if you're on Facebook, if you're on Instagram, if you're on LinkedIn and so on, what happens is the algorithm doesn't, let's say if you've got 100,000 followers or 100 million community, whatever you post out, not all 100,000 will actually be able to see it. That's how the platform works, because they want you to buy ads to kind of like post it up so that most of the people in there can see it, right? So you need to put aside some budget for that, just to give it the occasional boost, not every time, right? You want to depend primarily on your organic community. Okay, So these are the steps in how to actually start building your community. Now, okay, hang on. Yeah. My closing thoughts on the community building slides, right, is at the end of the day, the key is really about engagement, right? So because every active engagement with your audience will bring you closer to how they perceive your brand, right? So you actually kind of build your brand over time, one engagement or one conversation at a time. So what you do is you respond to the comments. You just don't post it up and then just leave it. Respond to the comments. If they like, just like back, follow them back, ask for their feedback, right? Just like any other club, let's put it this way, right? It's a two-way street, right? So you need to be able to do that as well. And then not only that, just don't only stick to your own page, for example. Go on to other like-minded community pages. Go in there and engage with the community as well. Then they know that, hey, you are there as well, right? So think of it this way, right? Community building, it's like a two-way street. The key thing is really, it's about engagement. Okay, so this is the one thing I want to leave behind with regards to community. You just don't build a community and just leave it there. You need to be able to engage and ask them, respond, feedback, and so on. Okay. Now I've covered passion, community building, and the third thing, which is important in the ingredient, the framework which you're talking about, is now creating the content itself, right? So you already have a platform, and now it's like, what do I post? So do I just post pictures of some people helping? What do I do? What do I do? How do I even arrange? What's my content strategy, right? So hold on to your thoughts. I would like you to just see this video first, and it will give you a little bit of clue, like what kind of content you should put up.
So whoever that's watching this, if you want to start building a personal brand, you gotta understand that there are only 3 ways to do it. So you gotta ask yourself, number 1, do you sound good? If you sound good, podcast would be the best way to go. Do you look good? Then video will be great for you. If you write well, you're great at writing, then words will be good for you. Understand your strength.
Great, understand your strength. Okay, so I'll leave you some thoughts. So I create this framework here. Is not new. It's created by Google, created by YouTube, right? To help you to organize your content so that you can create consistently. And this framework or this idea, it's called Hero, Hub, and Hygiene, right? I'm going to show you the next video. This person explains much better than I do what really Hero, Hub, Hygiene is all about. Okay.
Hi there, I'm Rhodes, and today we're in the Snippet Studio talking about Hero, Hub, Hygiene, or HELP, which is YouTube's recommended video strategy for brands. So obviously there are 3 parts to this: Hero videos, Hub videos, and Hygiene videos. And the idea is that you create a different amount of each type of video for different purposes. Hero videos are the videos that you want to push to a big audience. You create 2 or 3 of them a year, and they're real big hitters. You promote it on social media and you get as many people as you can to watch it. That video is all about getting out there to the people, showing them that you exist, bringing them back to your channel. The next type of video is the Hub video. Hub videos are the central point for all of those people who've been brought back to the channel. They're things like vlogs, stories, testimonials, the things that keep people engaged. They speak to people's interests. And lastly, we have the Hygiene or the Help videos. These are the videos that people are actually looking for. So they're the how-to videos. They're the how do I fix that videos. Anything that they could be searching for. Again, this is another way to bring the people to your channel, help them find you, the SEO portion of the videos. So although some of these concepts can be pretty
okay, so the rest of the video talks about his product. So I'm not going to go into that, right? So generally, this is a strategy called Hero, Hub, and Hygiene, which is done by YouTube. It's actually for the video. But I realize that this framework is also applicable to any sort of content. It does not necessarily have to be videos, right? This is how you organize the content. I really like the theme that Rotary has, which is people of action. Why I like that theme, right? So hang on to that thought, people of action, right? Because it has a lot of legs. It can go deep, it can go wide, right? And it has a lot of stories which can be generated from people of action. That theme itself, whoever thought about it, great. I mean, it's a good theme, right? So this framework will actually help you to expand on the people of action theme, right? Let me explain a little bit more by using more examples. How does this Hero Hub Hygiene actually will work out? Okay, so what's the purpose? What Hero is, right? So Hero, like the guy said, it's a go big sort of like content, right? So the purpose is really to deliver audacious, broad awareness, like here we are, right? So these are the things which he said, like you spend a lot of money on it, right? And you kind of like you go big on this hero sort of things, and you don't do it often, maybe once a year or twice a year. So you put out that kind of content. This is where most of the people will spend their time in the hub, right? Hub is essentially the regular scheduled push content, right? What it does is that this is where, for example, you'll be sharing. I think just now one of the participants actually said that, oh, you know, I can actually put out stories of how we actually help this community and so on, right? So this way you actually put those stories out, because why? It attracts those who already have some sort of interest in what you do, and you engage them further, and you actually improve the engagement, improve their brand love for you, right? This is where Hub is all about, what it's all about. And lastly, hygiene is what he calls it, the how-to videos, right? These are all the cool content. Now, sorry, there's some background sound. Okay, all right. So thank you. So the how-to part, right? This particular sort of a content, right, is actually more for if you were to do up a video, right? For example, let's say on YouTube, most of the time these days, if you want to learn about anything, what you do is you go on YouTube and you learn it. I know of a lot of friends who learn swimming from YouTube, learn whatever, cycling from YouTube. So how do you actually learn? But they learn it from, they learn everything from YouTube. YouTube has become a university, right? So, but it's the how to, right? So like how to do this, how to do that. So if a brand is able to create how to stuff, right? What happens is that people will, first of all, search for these things, and then they start to look at, hey, I didn't know that Rotary is actually doing this because it's actually helping me. So let me give you an example how Nike football uses this structure, right? So the hero videos, which they have once a year, twice a year, sometimes maybe. So what they do is they throw in all their stars in there, right? To run this sort of videos. Cristiano Ronaldo, Neymar, Rooney, Zlatan, everyone, they're all there. So these are big ones, and you can see the video views are usually like in the millions because people are watching about it, right? Is to give them massive attention, right? Then what they do is also they have hub. So if you go to the channel, you see the hub stuff is kind of like talking about profiles of certain people, talking about the particular shoes, what are the functions of their shoes. It's a little bit more product based, a little bit more about what they do itself, because people are already attracted to Nike football. They come in, they want to engage a bit more to find out, okay, you know, what's this shoe about? Who's this person? What's this team? Who are they sponsoring? So it's a little bit more about yourself, a little bit more, right? And the hygiene part for them, what they did was, I thought was pretty smart. They got hold of like Cristiano Ronaldo to teach people how to do dribbles, to do how do you do free kicks and so on. So again, when people want to, when they key in how to free kick, right, whatever, then they'll stumble upon this video and say, oh, okay, Nike, oh, okay, cool. That's how you actually attract people as well, right? So now, how does this look like in Rotary, right? How can you use this structure? So, for example, I searched around and I saw this video which you have, right? This video, I'm not sure, I think most of you are familiar with this.
Our connections make powerful things happen, uniting individuals and communities. We are Rotary. We are people of action. And together, we turn great ideas into reality by accessing our networks, our experience, and the best of ourselves to make a difference. Around the world, Rotary brings leaders together to build new friendships and to solve problems. Like in Austria, where generations work side by side to come up with innovative ways to build sustainable housing and community centers, everyone learning from each other. In India, volunteers run a mobile blood bank to help provide a steady blood supply for their local community. And in Taiwan, people are working hard to get vulnerable citizens the support and services they need. With over 1 million members, we know what people can do when they come together. In your backyard and around the world, there's power in our connections. Take action with us. Find out more at rotary.org.
Great. Probably you've seen this video many times, but this is a brand video, right? You can actually put it as one of your content. Again, you don't do this often, like once a year or so on, you put out there. But most of the time, 60% of the time, you actually spend in the hub section, where I mentioned these are, for example, people of action stories, the do good stories, the testimonials, the profile spotlight of different people. You can actually talk about all these things that I'm sure there are many, many stories. The community that you serve, you can actually find out some stories from them, who they are. You can actually document that. You can actually journal. You can talk about it there, right? So some pictures you can put it up there. So these are all these stories which you're going to be spending most of the time. You're going to put up all those things there, right? And hygiene, right at the bottom here, is you may not necessarily talk about yourself because people are searching for example, 52 good deeds or good deed ideas to make positive impact, for example. How to become a better person, how to recycle more effectively. These are all very general stuff, right? Which you can actually talk about all these things, and it's kind of like it's brought to you by Rotary to a certain extent. You talk about this thing. People search for these things anyway, right? And they stumble upon your page. You say, oh, okay, cool. I didn't know that Rotary does all this stuff, right? This is one way to attract them back into the hub again. So what this hero hub and hygiene helps you is actually to start thinking. It's like, okay, you know, it's just not about selfies. It's not just about pictures of me holding something and so on, but really it is a way to organize the content. And like I said, people of action is such a good broad team, which you've got many things you can generate out of it. So that part is already set for you, right? Some closing thoughts on content creation. The key at the end of the day is really consistency. When I say consistency, I don't mean for you to post every day, every hour, whatever. I don't mean that. But commit to, if it's going to be every week, then it's every week. If it's every 2 times a week, it's every two times a week. You need to be consistent. Again, just like my how weight loss thing, I cannot be, well, I don't feel like doing it today. Then I won't see the results. I need to be very consistent, right? If every day I need it, I need every day. So again, the key is consistency, right? For example, I kind of did a quick research as well to search around, right, for the other pages that you have. I realized that many people form their own pages, either on LinkedIn or Facebook and so on. And I realized that the logo, in fact, is not even consistent. I realized that some of you use different logos and different. I do know that, for example, I spoke to Andre about it. He says that's actually a brand guideline, right? To use that selected logo. Just start off by something simple as making sure that the logo is consistent and not create a logo. So you need to be consistent, because when everyone starts to search and so on, they start to see the same logo again and again, it becomes a very strong brand recall, and they can remember that, oh, okay, I've seen this before, this logo before. But however, if everyone uses a different logo, people will know who you are. Again, then there'll be like this whole perception, right? So just, in fact, something small by just starting off with the logo, right? And consistently build on it in terms of your content itself. Because consistency builds trust over time, right? My example here is like how you trust your favorite cafe to get your coffee, right? You know that every time when you go back there, is consistently, this coffee is going to be good for you. You like it. And what you do is you tell your friends about them. You say, yeah, no, go for this place. They're very consistent. They have always been giving me the best high quality coffee every time, right? So it's the same with content creation. So in the beginning, I would say please choose quantity over quality. What I mean by that is this. Some of you will be like, oh, my first post, it needs to be perfect. And you spend like, I don't know, months and months creating this post. You don't have to do it, right? You just post something out there, right? Just like, for example, writing a journal, you post things which the good, the bad, and the ugly as well. You can just start putting out there, because the more quantity, the more you put out there, it will eventually get better and better. And the other thing is as well, why not quality is because quality is subjective. What you think is nice may not be what other people think. Just like, for example, sometimes for me, when I post up certain things on my social media, I spend hours and hours. I said, this is the content that's going to help me to reach out and to impact certain people. But the engagement is extremely low. But when I post something as simple as like me washing a car or whatever, right, I get so many engagement. So I don't know, right? So I don't know what is good, what is bad. So the idea is really to just put up quantity first. Then along the way, you sharpen. It's okay. This particular kind of content works. This content doesn't work, and so on, right? So it doesn't have to be perfect every time. As long, just remember, as long as your content adds value to your community that you're serving, it's not about you. It's about the people. The spotlight is not on you. The spotlight is on the community that you're trying to serve. Okay, so I've done passion, community building. This way you get your audience. And third, how do you organize your content? And the last thing, which is social proof. A lot of times, for those who are really good at social media, they forgot actually about this part called social proof. And I find this is very fascinating, and this will give you that nitro boost, that give you that boost of what social proof can actually do to the pages that you have, right? So again, just like how the rest, I want to show you a short video from TikTok.
Hey, you wonder why no one believes you? It is because you can make all these claims about yourself, but unless you have social proof, someone else vouching for you, you're going to struggle in life, all right? So if you want that girl to be impressed by you, somebody else has to tell them how great you are. If you want to get that job, somebody else has to vouch for you. If you want to build your business, you have to have social proof, all right? So it's always about other people saying good words about you.
Oh, that's interesting. It's not about going out there to beat your chest and say, hey, I did this, I did that, and so on. But other people talking about you, right? So it's really, in essence, is using psychology in social media, because social proof essentially is marketing. It's a demonstration of what people are saying about your brand after they have tried your brand, after they have partaken your brand, right? And they want to talk about it, thereby influencing others to really consider. So a good example of social proof you probably will see is when you want to buy something online. You've not tried it before, and what do? You check out the recommendations, you check out the ratings, what other people are saying, and you look into it. Okay, so these pictures below here is an initiative by the Malaysian government. I thought it was a stroke of brilliance to do that, because everyone's on social media, is free for them, right? And because social is free. So what they do is, after they get their vaccination, you get a booth to kind of take a picture and your bragging rights, right? To say, hey, look, I've done my vaccination and so on. All they did was just put out a simple booth there, and strangely, people just gravitate towards that booth and just take a picture of it and they post it up. So what happens is this. I realized that even like some of my friends or some of my relatives initially who were very hesitant about taking the vaccination, when they start to see all these people posting stuff, all their own friends posting it, and they're like, well, I think maybe it's not that bad, right? So, and it's free, right? So, and that's me, right? At the end, that's me after my second my second dose of vaccination. Yeah. So again, I thought this was quite a very simple device which the government did. I thought like, wow, that's pretty good, right? So that's what social proof is all about. So the types of social proof, right? Number one, for example, testimonials, reviews, ratings, right? And mentions from the crowd and friends and family and so on, right? So essentially what people, like what the guy said, what people are talking about you. How are they rating you? How are the testimonials out there? Second kind of social proof are awards and accolades. because you didn't win it, because of what you did, you usually got those awards and accolades and so on. So you can actually talk about those things because it's kind of like an endorsement by a third party, right? Being featured in media, PR coverage, again, you're not talking about yourself because other people are covering about you. You can also put out those kind of content as well, right? Because when people say, wow, someone is actually talking about you, someone is like, you must be legit, right? Not why other people are talking about you, right? So being featured in media and PR coverage. Endorsements from influencers or experts out there. So imagine someone out there actually kind of like endorses you and says like, hey, you're good at this and so on. Example, like where I am right now at this point in time, right? If I put it out there and this to tell people, say I actually spoke to about 100 plus people from the Rotary International the community to talk about social media, they'll be like, wow, really? You're being invited by them? It's like, yeah, in a way. So again, it's you're not bragging about yourself, but that you are being endorsed by a different third party in this case, right? So another type of social proof is, well, you just need to have a sizable following over time. Because when people start to check your page and say, wow, you actually have got 10,000 people following, 50,000, whatever, it's like, I guess you're pretty legit. That's why people are following you, right? So these are the different types of social proof. My closing thoughts on social proof, right? So social proof is essentially good old word of mouth, right? According to Nielsen, word of mouth actually takes out 84%. Like people really trust what people are saying. It's the best form of marketing. It elevates trust and credibility very quickly, right? Especially when someone says that, hey, you're good at this, so you very fast your credibility will shoot up, right? So this is actually most of the time where a viral video happens. Viral videos, like you see like whatever, it's like how come there's so many people watching this stupid video, whatever, is because somebody which is credible or someone which has an influencer or someone which is big actually shared this on their community and say, hey, check out this video. Immediately you get their attention. That is how your video suddenly picks up, become a viral video, right? So if you have a social proof, it elevates very quickly, right? But at the end of the day, I just want to stress that you cannot hack this. You cannot like get people to talk about you if your product, if whatever you're doing is not good in the first place or not even great in the first place, because you need, the first thing is to make sure that you pat down the product. Whatever you're doing must be good. This is kind of the social proof, is kind of the icing on the cake. It is not the go-to strategy to get yourself out there. You need to first of all start off first, right? To make sure that whatever you're doing must be great first. Then the social proof, it actually will help you to push yourself to elevate it, right? Now, I suspect some of these things, right, are not new to you. And I think Andre actually has mentioned before that really, I mean, I still cringe, right? That when someone actually picks up a mock check or something to, to, hey, I have actually, donated to this group of people and so on, right? It's sad to say that unfortunately those things are very 80s, right? It doesn't work anymore in the social media way, right? So I would like to say that those kind of content doesn't work anymore, right? So closing, how does all these four things all wrap up together, right? Which is I mentioned just now. I want to just very quickly end with my personal journey. So far, no, I'm not going to show you another weight loss thing and so on. All right. So very quickly, in January of 2021, I decided at mid-40s, I'm mid-40s, and I decided to say, you know what, I got to get this social media thing going. So just like you, I am also learning. I'm not an expert. I don't know why I do all these things for the different companies, under the clients, so but I myself, for whatever reason, I don't know why I never built my own personal brand. But I thought, you know what, I need to do it for myself. I need to prove that this thing really works, right? So, and in the beginning of this year, I identify what I really am passionate is. And since years ago, I've always been very passionate about the whole area of leadership, especially targeting the young adults, the next generation of leaders. This is what I've always been really passionate about. And that's where I start to figure out, okay, who's my target audience and where do they reside? Where do I reach out to them? And I identify some of this, right? LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, and on the website as well. So I've got a personal website talking about leadership, right? So I decided to, okay, you know what? Let's continue to just try out and put out different content on all these sites and see what happens, right? Along the way, this year as well, I got social proof as well. Some media actually covered what I do in terms of my work, as well as also my the whole area of leadership and so on. So there's some coverage of me, and that kind of like further solidify like what I'm passionate about. And my followers on LinkedIn grew by 40%, right? So from 1,002, which is quite a small number, some of you probably have in the thousand, 100,000 and so on. But I just want to share with you from 1,002 to 1,700 within 8 months, right? In August, right? My first 1,000, it took me 10 years, right, to build that. But the last 8 months, it grew to 1,007 from 1,000 to 40% growth, right? And because of that, now it further elevates me to different, when people start to notice who I am, what I do, and so on. And then they start to, I get feedback, for example, from people say, hey, you know, when I thought about running a leadership podcast, the first person I thought about was you. Recently, I was actually invited to speak in a podcast for Taylor's University for how tips for leading young adults. So it kind of like, wow, okay, someone actually asked me to talk about this. So it pretty works in terms of my brand, right? It matches with who I am. No longer there's actually a gap, right? So of course I also get to speak here as well, thanks to Andre, who somehow, I don't know how this happened, but yes, through my bosses and LinkedIn, but yes, I get more opportunities. So I do know that this thing works, right? And if I were to continue using this framework, passion, community building, content creation, social proofing, do it again and again and again, purposefully, then you start to see your brand revitalizing, and you start to see results when you start doing this, right? My closing thoughts on this. You know, some of you may be thinking, I don't know, this social media thing, it's just not for me, right? Do you have to be on social media, right? And do I have to like week in, week out post stuff? Ask myself that as well. Do I have to be on social media? Yeah, I'm passionate about leadership and so on, right? But do I have to really talk about it? Do I have to, do I have to talk about stories week in, week out? Do I have to do that? No. The answer is no. You do not have to do that. Actually, you don't have to be really on social media if you do not want to, right? But let me ask you this question, which I ask myself, but do I believe what I'm doing will it impact? That means whatever I'm doing currently right now, my passion of developing young leaders under my care, right? Do I really believe in that? And I say 100% yes, right? 100%. I'm committed to do that. Let me give you an example. One of my staff, right? The other day was just sharing with me, and candidly he was saying like, thanks for really sharing yourself and your time with me, and he said, his name is Jason. Jason said he's like 25, and he said, I'm not a father yet, I'm not even married yet, but I do know, this is what Jason said, I do know that when I do have my own family, whatever that you taught me, I'm sure it's going to be sharing those things to my own sons, my own daughters as well. And that moved me so much. It's like, wow, this is worth it, that I managed to impact in someone, right? Managed to share this whatever I'm really passionate about, and he's going to be sharing to the next generation, and so on, right? The whole legacy thing, right? And I ask myself, how else can I like how much more can I do, right? Besides just targeting the few people, can I go further? And I realized that yes, social media actually will give me that wider audience which I want to be able to impact. Then I said, you know what? Doesn't matter whether the week in, week out, whatever. At the end of the day, I need to remember my passion, right? Back to the first slide, your passion. At the end of the day, what you really believe in. When it's raining, when it's snowing or whatever, right? You ask yourself, why am I doing this, right? And you say, okay, because I want to be able to add value. I want to be able to, every post about leadership which I put up will be to add value to someone across the globe, whoever that sees this post, right, and say, wow, that make a difference. Those words made a difference, right? So this is what I do, why I actually push myself to be to build my brand on social media. Another perspective I can help you is this, right? Think of it as keeping a public journal of yourself, right? Don't just document your successes and all the beautiful things, right? A lot of times social media is that way. You need to put on all the good things. You know what? These days, authenticity is a very, very important thing, and social media these days talks a lot about authenticity as well. Not just not about posting the good things. You can document your struggles as well, you know, about to your audience, so that they can actually learn from it as well. So it doesn't have to be just good stuff, but you can document also the challenges that you face, the good, the bad, and the ugly, right? And then just like anything, like in a journal, you enjoy the process of doing it as well. And of course, you enjoy the outcome, right? And you know what? By doing this, sharing, it also helps you to learn about yourself too. Okay? So with that, this is my end of my presentation. I hope it has added value with my sharing. And I am, with whatever remaining time, I'm open to receive any sort of questions that you have. And I hope that I'll be able to answer you. If not, I will somehow point you to somewhere which you can get an answer from. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Kausern, for that wonderful sharing and the inspiration that you have actually given to us as well. Now, please join me to give a warm of applause for Mr. Kausern Hieu. All right. Next session is actually about Q&A. So if you have any questions, I would like you to click the raise hand button on the reaction icon at the bottom of your Zoom screen dashboard. That will help me, because as and when you click that raise hand icon, you will be put in the queue, and it will make it easier, because I'm having more than one screen with so many audiences tonight, and it will make it very easy if you actually click that reaction button. Now we have the first one, May from Rotary Club of Yangon, and then after that followed by Charter President Shirin. Go ahead, May.
Hi, Kausern. Thank you so much for your presentation, and I learned a lot because it's a very interesting topic. One question: social media has a positive impact and then also the negative impact. How do you overcome the negative impact? Because there must be some negative, you know, it's a free writing, so.
Right, okay. So the negative impact that usually people will say is that, especially for young people, they look at it as a place of validation, right? They look at it as a place where, you know, I need to be approved by a group of my friends, right? So that is where actually social media is toxic in this case, right? Because when they go out there, when they scroll on Instagram, for example, they see all the beautiful people, and that sets the tone, for example, for them. It's, oh, I need to be like that, right? It's kind of like you look at it from those days in the magazine as well, when you have before social media as magazines. You look at all the magazines, everyone is being photoshopped and everyone looks nice and so on. That is not helpful, right? However, just like any other tool, social media is a tool. Is a double-edged sword as well. You look at it on the other side, right? If you look at it as a brand building tool, as long as whatever that you put out there, it adds value to the audience, right? Look at it this way: if you treat social media like a leader, if you are a leader, you need to be serving people. Right? Social media, if you treat it that way, you need to be using the tool to serve others and not to be self-serving, right? Because once you start to treat that tool as self-serving, over time, people will smell you out. People will know that it's all just about you, right? And if it's just about a bunch of selfies and what you eat and all these things, right? Yeah, it's fun occasionally to tell who you are, but if really you're putting out value out there constantly, because you're a leader, you've got the responsibility to say, you know what, now I've got a voice. Whatever that I put out there needs to be able to make a difference with people and not just about it. And if you have that kind of consciousness, I think you will definitely help as well. So you can't avoid the good, the bad, and ugly, but at the end of the day, you need to know that it is also equally as powerful if you use it correctly. Did I answer your question?
Absolutely, and I like this one, not self-serving and serve other people. Actually, it's very, very interesting. Thank you so much.
Thank you, May.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, May. Next is CP Sherin.
Yeah, very good evening. Yeah, this is CP Sherin from Bangladesh, District 3281. Yeah, thank you, VDJ Andrea, for inviting me. And I have questions to Kaisa. I was usually quite frequent posting my Facebook. But sometimes when I was posting my Facebook, I was very doubtful because sometimes we want to post something on Rotary, but we want to post something on personal thing. What do you think that can we usually, what will you suggest, or do you think that should we separate our Facebook account on this, like, you know, posting personal thing and posting something on Rotary?
Okay, good question. At the end of the day, you have to ask yourself, just like anything else, like in terms of your brand identity, when someone thinks of you, Sherin, what kind of perception that you want from them, right? When they start to think about you. So when you say like Sherin, like what are the 2 or 3 things people would know about you, right? They'll be able to define, say, oh, Sherin is a very helpful person. She's a very, all these things, right? So I think early on in one of the discussion early on, like social media is an extension of who you are online, right? So in this case, so you ask yourself, by putting up all these different kind of content and so on, will it help me to create the kind of perception that I want to be able to put out there? So for example, there's no wrong or right. You say I want to put something more personal so that they can actually know who my life, who am I, how I'm actually, the struggles which I go through to actually want to help this community. And if that is the story you want to put out there, that's the perception you put out there, go ahead and put out there. So there's no wrong or right. There's no like, oh, should it be this or should it be that and so on. You know what? Just try out. But again, you need to have that identity in your mind and say, okay, this is what I want people to look at me as, you know, this is the brand which I want to put out. These are the 2 or 3 key pointers which I have. So let's try experiment with that. And if you get the kind of engagement, you get the kind of people saying, hey, you know, well done, you know, good job, you know, I really like what you're sharing and so on, then you know that you're heading towards that direction. So I don't have an answer for you, is it that, is it this or that, but really it's what kind of personal identity you want to put out there. Okay. Was it helpful for you?
Yeah,
Sherry?
Thank you. Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, Kausern, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other queries or questions that people would like to ask? Mona?
Hello?
Mona?
Yes, hi, Andre. Hi, Kausern.
Hello, hi, Mona.
Hi, yeah, I also know that we can also overshare on social media, be it personally or on the official Rotary Club Facebook page, for example. What would be, I don't know, a benchmark of oversharing or, you know, like just nice, in your opinion?
Okay, oversharing will probably be, okay, so there are very different school of thoughts I was mentioning, right? So there are some who post every day, in fact, some twice a day. So let's say, for example, if they're on Instagram, right? They'll post on the different outlets within Instagram. So one day they talk about pictures, and then they post on stories, and then the next hour they post on reels and whatever, right? So I would say that for me personally, I wouldn't be able to, I wouldn't recommend you to post every day, right? Unless you have something to add value to. Because over time, if it's just going to be content which you put out there, like what I eat, what I do, and all these little things, right? Then your community which you're trying to build will start to like, really, you're not giving me any sort of substance. You're not adding value to me anyway. So I don't have like, should it be 3 times a week or whatever? But I think what you need to do is to start tracking the engagement if you start to see that your engagement, the engagement here in terms of the number of likes, the number of people asking you questions and commenting and so on, starting to drop, then you kind of realize that perhaps it could be oversharing. It could be even the content that you put out there is not exciting anymore because it's not adding value. You're just talking about things, you're just sharing about things which doesn't add value to your community. So if you, I would say, you know, if I kind of like benchmark, if you really want that, I would say probably think about it first from a little bit about like, does this content add value? If it does, put it out there. Then quantity wise, I would say probably 2 or 3 times a week. That is actually quite a lot for me. Like for me personally, I need to do like once a week.
Okay, thanks.
Thanks, Mona.
Thank you, Mona. Next, we have Nigel, followed by Razali Ali. Nigel.
Hi, Kausern. Great presentation. I've got a question regarding content and the consistency of pushing out content. So, I mean, in times like today, we see the stresses of pushing out content, you know, regularly and stuff like that. And on occasions, you do see people making mistakes, not considering emotions and feelings of other people. So what advice do you have to overcome a situation like that?
Okay, so just to clarify, Nigel, are you saying that, for example, once you put out something and then you realize that it actually hurts the community or hurts the people, hence it is a hurtful content? Is that what you're trying to say?
Yeah, but due to the pressures of, like you said, maintaining consistency,
Right,
you
right.
overlook certain aspects of, you know, people's emotions, feelings, or just being discriminating a group of people by mistake.
Okay, great. So thanks for bringing out that question. So I do know of certain companies which is they're just specializing on content, right? This content sort of companies. And what they do is that they believe that the more content that you put out, you know, the more mud that you throw on the wall, some will stick. That kind of thinking, right? So that's what they do. So they will just keep on churning out content and content. So even though that it's a content which is insensitive, but whatever, you know, even though the quotes are all wrong, I was just speaking to somebody, he said, this guy just didn't care about my whatever I had to say. He just picked my quote and just put it even on the wrong person and just put it out there, just content, just put it out there, right? So at the end of the day, you have to ask yourself, right? Back to the whole question is, are you doing this to add value to your community or not, right? As in, or are you just putting out there and hopefully something will happen and so on? So I think at the end of the day, it's a balance that you really need to ask yourself, like you do make mistakes as well. So I've done it as well. Sometimes, you know, in the haste of trying to push something out, so I just push it out there, and then after that, then I get some brickbats and so on. I say, oh, you shouldn't be saying this and all this stuff, right? Then I learn from it as well. To say, okay, you know what? Why did this happen? Maybe it's because I'm pushing out too much content. Is it because I wasn't thinking about it? Is it maybe because I'm thinking about myself, my self-serving? Like, is it because I just want to have that likes and so on? I want to have so that I just put it out there. Again, what really helped me all this while has been is like, will this content help others or not? Would it add value to others? And if it does, most of the time, chances are that you would have lesser mistakes in this case, right? So I would say a lot of times mistakes happens is because of the haste of trying to just push it out there and then hopefully something will stick. It depends, right? If you are in the community, like for example, Rotary, you don't have to post up everything, you know, you don't have to do that. But in if you're working in a company, right, which ask you to like, you need to put out some content every day and so on, right? That is where mistakes will usually happen because you're just putting out for the sake of putting out. And then because you have got KPIs to meet, right? You got bosses to please. So I think those things is where I don't have an answer for that. You just got to be you got to look at the balance and so on. But if it's for like for Rotary, for volunteerism, in this case, you don't have to put it out so frequent, so that every piece that you put out has a thought that you really put behind it. Did I answer your question, Nigel?
Yes, you did. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Next is Razali Ali.
Hello,
Hi,
Razali.
hello, Kausern.
Hello.
I'm Razali. My straightforward question: Rotary is not well received among the Muslim and Malays in this country, in Malaysia. In fact, Rotary been banned in most of the Islamic countries. Right? So I, being a Rotarian for almost 30 years, have been facing that situation. And then to me, give me strength to go more. So now how to capitalize with digital technology, with the social media, through your experience, how should we go about it? In particular to back to Malaysian situation, right? How to reach to these people, because with the misconception of these Malay people, in particular in the government, it disrupts whatever program, whatever project, in particular something to do with the school, because I was the chairman for the youth exchange. So there are disruption of the program due to their misunderstanding of the organization. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. I'm actually out of how should I say? I may not be able to fully answer this because I am not in Rotary, so I cannot fully. Maybe Andre can help me a little bit, so that I can also add on to this perception. Andre, you want to chime in a bit?
Right. Thank you, Razali, for bringing it up. Assalamu alaikum. I'm also a Muslim. The issue that has been facing the Muslim communities, not all of it, is that they think Rotary is Zionist. And some of them think that we belong to an organization that is considered as haram in our Islamic Aqidah. So what we need to do is, that's why as Rotarians, whether Muslim or non-Muslim, we must make sure that we take corrective action or be sensitive of what we post on the social media that can give a wrong impression by the Muslim communities about Rotary. This is very, very important. As an example, right? As an example, when every July to September, clubs are all very busy doing installations. And they have dinners and after dinners every weekend. And they organize this dinner because of change of office bearers. And they take photos during the dinner and they upload the photos onto the social media. Now, when they take these photographs, you have alcoholic bottles on the table. If it is one or two, is okay. But you imagine if a district has got 70 to 80 clubs, and every weekend you have Saturday and Sunday, at least 2 clubs having this kind of functions. And in each club, you have 30, 40 Rotary members. And say, take 15 of them uploading onto the social media. This is not very good in the eyes of not only the Muslim communities, but as well as the other members of the public. So that is one. Number two, I think Rotary needs to look at putting in more efforts in doing projects for the Muslim communities. We cannot go to the Muslim communities and say, no, what you think about us is wrong. We are not this and we're not that. They may not believe us. They may think that we are a very liberal Muslim, that's why we are joining Rotary. So we need to continue to increase the number of projects that we do in the Muslim communities so that eventually they have confidence in us. Because otherwise, if we don't get close with the Muslim communities by doing projects in the Muslim communities, then they will continue to have this wrong perception about us. Number three, when clubs sponsor Interact Club in schools, especially government schools, and most likely you have principals who are Muslims. Now, I do encourage that the advisor of the Rotary Club that is attached to this Interact Club preferably should be a Muslim, because I have heard of cases whereby the principal, the Muslim principal, is not supporting the Interact Club. Why? Because they think that this is organization supported by Rotary, which is not in line with the Islamic Aqidah. So this is my perception. And having said that, I think we can play a role by putting the correct perspective through social media.
Thank you, PDG Andre. My question to Kausern, which his knowledge, which what he's been doing, what is the best approach? Because what PDG Andre been saying, I have that experience. I met the minister, I even met the minister in charge of the religious. So whenever there is a change or the minister in charge of the religious, I went to see them. That was way back about 15 years ago, 20 years ago, but not the current one. Even the school also same thing, because the more situation I face, the more I go for it. But back to Kausern, what is the best approach through your knowledge, through your expertise on this thing? How to go about it? We know about the normal video approaches, thing like that. What PDG Andre been saying, yes, well said. We understand that situation.
Okay, back to the earlier slide, the first slide, right? Digital and social media is the new battleground to win hearts and minds. Whether or not you do anything or don't do anything, people, the Muslim community is talking about you anyway, right? So when they go online, when people search about it, they have all those content that people are talking about, like, oh, haram and all these things, right? People are talking about it anyway, right? In fact, it is actually now is a good opportunity, a good time for you to put out the content, not to say, hey, we're not doing wrong or we're not doing right. It's not that, but to focus on what does it mean to be a Rotarian? What does it mean to be a people action? And put out the stories out there. And over time, when your haters start to see this, actually, hey, you know, I thought it's only about parties and everything and so on, but actually you see this kind of content going out there, and over time you will start to see people winning hearts, and because they'll be searching for you anyway. When they start to come across such content, then you'll be like, okay, you know, of course you can't win them overnight because this thing has been here for the longest time. But if you consistently put out that kind of content out there, when they start to search for it, it will give them a different perception. Now, whether or not they will believe or so on, it's not up to us, right? But at least you put out certain content out there for them to do their own research, for them to find out more, for them to be able to convince themselves that, hey, maybe it is not what I think it is. There will always be haters, whether you do good or do bad or so on, there will always be haters. But at least what I'm trying to tell you, trying to share is that regardless, people are searching for you anyway. So it's a good opportunity for you to balance the argument with content on social media. That will probably be my point of view. Encik Razali.
Thank you. Thank you, Kausern.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, PDG.
Thank you, sama-sama. Thank you. Next is DG Dr. Krishna.
Yes, PDG Andre. My question is again related to exactly what my good friend Haji Razali just mentioned. When you get these negative comments and posts in social media about Rotary, should we engage with them in a discussion to counter their opinions? This is the Kausern. Should we engage in a discussion and say, no, your opinion is wrong and this is the correct thing? Or should we just ignore that negative comments and focus on in social media on the good that we do, blast it out on the good that we do, don't respond to the negative comments? Which is your opinion? Or should we focus? Because if you engage them in a discussion, then you say something, the more you say, the more they will say against you, you know? So what is your opinion on this?
Okay.
Should we engage or should we ignore?
Okay, Dr. Krishna, thanks for bringing it out. This happens a lot of time, right? Do we engage or do we not, right? I'm just a quick question to you. I'm curious. It seems that you have that experience before. So what happened to you? As in, like, when you try to engage and so on, tell me to share a little bit.
Actually, it's not my personal experience, but I know the experience of Rotary in our district. And when social media comes out, if you try to engage with them, certain segments of the population who are very fundamentalist, so to speak, forgive me if I'm using the wrong words, whatever you say, you cannot convince them. If they believe you're Zionist, whatever you say, you will never convince them. And the more you put it out, the more you're giving credence to their arguments. And more people tend to read, oh, this person said you're a Zionist, and you put out, no, I'm not Zionist. And then more people tend to read the articles and they become a topic of conversation. So if you just ignore that, but focus on the good that we do, keep putting things about like what you said and what Andre said on the good that we do, the projects we do to the Muslim community and things like that. that might have a more positive effect rather than engaging in a debate with these extremists.
I totally agree with you. You answer your own question. I validate and I agree that. But let's take it a little bit one step further. That's the beauty about community, right? So there'll be some people who will just come in. We call them trollers. They'll come and troll you and just like say things which just to provoke. They will never be able to whatever you say. You won't be able to convince them, right? So what happens is that if you do know of such a community within, like, constantly be harassing, right? You probably will know that they probably need some kind of attention, right? So what I will usually do is I will DM or personal direct message to them and try to engage with them, not publicly, but personally, to say, you know, I appreciate your comment. I'm sure that it came from a place of lots of thoughts. You actually put through a lot of thoughts, and that's why you say all those things, right? Help me to understand, how did this, how do you come to this conclusion, right? I'm not here to judge. I'm just curious to know how this. So usually engagement, even in not only on social media, like in real, I mean, as in physical, right? Most of the time, people come with very strong opinions because either they come from a position they were hurt before, or perhaps they were also maybe misunderstood and so on, right? So the idea is you just want to be able, they just need a listening ear. So if you engage with them and say you're wrong and I'm right, of course they'll be aggressive. But if you were to isolate them, put them, you know, so-called personal message to them and say, hey, thanks for saying these things. You know, you have been, I see that you always, when I put out this comment, every time you're saying those things, right? I would like to actually have a conversation with you, a courageous conversation with you. Help me to understand how this come about. You know, when you do something like this, in fact, you yourself also will be learning something about yourself as well, right? That's what usually is, right? You may not, at the end of the day, agree to what he says, and he may not agree to what you say, but at least we agree on the disagreement. At least there was a conversation. Most of the time, this is what they want. They just want to be able to engage, right? So don't watch the public linens in the public. Don't watch like, oh, you start to, you know, engage, but don't even ignore them as well. Depends. I mean, some of them, they really just want to say something. But if you see someone consistently, passionately, you know, try to say something, right? Isolate them, speak to them personally, and say, speak to them with empathy and compassion, and say, hey, help me to understand, right? Yeah. So you never know. In fact, this person, you may win them as a fan, and then they will actually talk good about you over time, right?
Very good answer. Yeah, I totally agree with your concept. Very good answer. Engage with them privately and help us to understand. Help me to understand what you're doing.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Krishna, for bringing it up. I'm very conscious about time. I can keep going on, but I know that all of you have different time zones and so on. So I want to do a pause here and check in terms of timing. Andre, how are we doing?
Okay, we just have one last question from Shamastri.
I don't want to ask a question.
Hello.
I'm sorry, I'm taking your time. It was a wonderful session. Of course, Kausern, I'm really impressed because I'm into public relations in my profession and branding. So I'm really learning from you. I learned a lot from you. And Andre, this umbrella is a boon because it's raining so heavily for the last 2.5 hours. I'm enjoying the sound of the rain in the background. Thank you for giving us the umbrellas to cover us. Thank you, Dolly.
Thank you so much for turning up with us over here. That umbrella, some of you were asking me, what is the significance of that umbrella? Well, that umbrella, among all the black colored umbrellas, there's only one color that is outstanding, and that shows that, you know, how to stand in a crowded place, right? Through social media. And I think Kausern has excellently shared with you the tips and techniques. And I would like all of us to join me and give a warm of applause to Kausern Hieu for spending his time with us. All right, with that, we have come to the end of the session. I'm sorry that we have 8 minutes actually past the allocated time. But before we end, I would like to invite District Governor Dolly Yip and the Zoom's tech support. Please highlight DG Dolly, right? And as well as the speaker, Kausern Hieu. All right. Oops, he's gone.
Is you here?
Tech support, can you please do a spotlight on District Governor Dolly?
Yes, sir. We are well on it. Sorry.
I need District Governor Dolly here and Kausern. We need the spotlight Kausern, the speaker. All right. And PP Kenneth, please get ready. We want to present you with a certificate of appreciation.
Oh,
right?
okay.
For having
Do I shake my hand this way?
no, the other way around. The other way
Oh,
around.
the other way. This way? This way?
Yes, yes. All right. And for having spent time with us and sharing with us the tips and technique on this, like it has never been so in-depth as before. This is the first time I think that someone has gone through very in-depth and detail with us about how to actually create a lasting change through social media. And we would like to thank you for that, Kausern. Please join us to give him a round of applause one more time, everybody. Thank you, and I hope that one day you will become a Rotarian yourself. Okay, well, with that, it's now time to take a group photo. I need the Zoom tech support to help me take a group photo. If you can just, you can turn on your camera if you like to. There are a number of screens over here. Go ahead, tech support.